Hi, I'm Candace Schwartz, and today I will be talking about part 2 of dynamic listening. If you recall from part 1, the focus was on those impulses that prevent us from being present and from truly listening. Well, today, part 2, the focus is on the 5 main techniques of dynamic listening. Those are breathe, connect, reflect, engage, and direct. The first technique, breathe, something that you do every day. And if you're like many people, when you're caught in a tense or an emotional situation, you may actually find yourself not breathing or holding your breath. Well, from a stress perspective, the best thing you can do in that moment is breathe. And from a dynamic listening perspective, the best thing you can do in that moment is breathe. By breathing consciously and taking a deep, long breath, you can get yourself present and get yourself focused on the speaker. That breath can help clear away the defensive response that you may have in relation to the speaker, can help you get present. So be sure to take that breath, and it doesn't have to be a dramatic breath. It doesn't have to be a it can be a simple getting yourself present. The next technique, connect. This is your nonverbal or your paraverbal listening responses to let the speaker know that you are engaged, whether you're face-to-face or on the phone. If you're face-to-face, you can use the nonverbal, your head nod, the head tilt, even the leaning in a bit, opening your arms up to letting yourself receive the information. From a paraverbal perspective, that would just be the sounds you make, your mm-hms, your ahas, something again to let that person know that you are present, that you're listening, you're engaged. The next technique is reflect, and this is where you paraphrase back, something many people have been taught in different listening classes, active listening classes or other classes. The reflect is your receiving the information and interpreting it and giving it back to the speaker. It does not have to be verbatim. As a matter of fact, I highly encourage you to not reflect back in a verbatim way. And many reflect statements start with, sounds like, or sounds to me as if, or the way I see it, or the way I hear it. It is you taking full responsibility for what it is you're hearing that person say, and you're giving it back to them. And then at that point, it is their responsibility to say yay or nay. Yes, that's what I was trying to say, or no, it isn't quite like that, it's more like this. So this is a very shared responsibility. You reflect back, you own that reflection. What I'm hearing you say is this, or it sounds to me, doesn't have to be mechanical, it doesn't have to be psychobabble or some of the other things you may hear people say with the mechanics of specific techniques of communication. Embrace it with your own style and put it back to that speaker, and then the speaker takes the responsibility to ask you to try again, or they confirm that indeed that's what they were saying. So breathe, connect, reflect. The fourth technique is engage, and with the engage technique you ask clarifying questions only. And the reason I stopped and paused and repeated that is because this is the point where people start to ask their curious questions. This is the point where some listeners start to revert back to old listening behaviors that may involve those impulses that prevent one from being truly present. So if you're going to stop, if you're going to ask some questions, assure that these questions are strictly because you didn't understand something the speaker said. Specifically a clarifying question. I have a personal rule of thumb. If I start to ask more than 3 questions, then I'm off in my curiosity land and am away from being present with the speaker. So in some cases I don't ask any clarifying questions at all. I put the information back the way I hear it. I let the speaker confirm or correct, and that answers any clarifications that I may need to have. Just some food for thought. The last technique is direct, and this is where you gain control of the dialogue. Many people don't realize that dynamic listening is actually a way of gaining control of a dialogue. And I don't mean control in the controlling sense that you want to enforce the behavior of another person, but I mean control as in you are holding the dialogue, you're holding the structure, and you're taking it to the next place. So with a direct technique, this is where you would use statements such as, I want to check in to see if there's anything else. Again, you're directing the speaker to the next place. Or you may use statements such as, I have some thoughts, if you're open to hearing them. You're taking the speaker to the next place, which is your place of communicating whatever thoughts you have. In either case, the direct is a way of rounding everything off and saying, this is how I see it, and this is what I would like to do with it. And at that point, the speaker agrees or says, no, I'm not interested in hearing what you have to say, not at this moment, or yes, I'm open to going to the next step. For me, in many cases, because my big impulse that prevents me from being truly present is a problem-solving, troubleshooting impulse. And so I hold off on that impulse until I fully understand what the person, the speaker, has said. And then I use the direct technique. And I use the direct technique to allow me to get to that place of helping to troubleshoot if the speaker is open to doing it. So very often my direct statement is, I'd like to check in with you to see if you'd be willing to do some brainstorming on solutions about this problem. And at that point the speaker says, yeah, I'm open to that, or no, I'm not at this point, maybe at another point. And then you end the dialogue. Those are the 5 techniques to dynamic listening. Breathe, connect, reflect, engage, and direct. In this article, you will see that there are also some pointers that may be of use to you. One that's of great use to me is if the speaker responds, after I dynamic listening, if the speaker responds with a yeah, yes, yep, any type of affirmative thoughts, phrase, words, then consider that you are doing a great job listening. That's what we want to get. We want to get the speaker to the point of yeah, of feeling heard. And in many cases, they verbalize that, or they may non-verbally shake their head yes. You want to catch that, because that tells you that you're on a good way, you're doing a good job. Dynamic listening is a work in progress. I consider it a lifelong work, because as you're engaged in dialogues with people, different defenses may arise. Your mastery of this skill is to hold off and not allow those defenses to take over, but for you to be present and truly hear what the other person is saying. If you can do that, you keep your boundaries, you keep the dialogue going, you prevent future damage control with possibly needing conflict resolution. If you're not able to tackle a minor issue now, it invariably, in my experience, will blow up into something greater in the future. It's worth it now to hold off on those defenses. Your defenses in interpersonal relationships will do you very little good. So it's beneficial for you to practice removing them from your experience while you're in dialogue and being present and opening up your heart to hearing what the other person has to say. If you have any questions or concerns, please write in. I'd be happy to support you on these. Good luck and happy dynamic listening. Thanks.